I have no idea what's about to happen with this vote. Actually, I do. I have an idea what's going to happen. I don't know. You guys made a compelling case tonight, in my mind. But this diversity is not the kind of diversity you might be looking for. But it's diversity up here, like I talked about. We're all different, I guarantee. But when today is done, it's just a day. And I know I'm telling you, many of you who have fought this fight for a really long time, and I'm saying something that probably doesn't need to be said. One of your friends who's not here told me, like, we're not giving up hope regardless of what happens with this. It's what we do is have hope. I think oftentimes you're not given enough of the benefit of the doubt. I admit, been worrying too much, probably even, about how dejected you will feel when this vote happens, and what I can do to try to stop that or heal that. And I haven't given you enough credit for being strong and for having hope. This isn't the first issue you've dealt with as a community, and it will not be the last. There's lots of work still to do. And if nothing else good comes of this, I believe something really good is happening, in that I look and see a room full of people who are passionate, who represent themselves very well. I'm proud to call neighbors, who are strong, who will fight. I don't know what fixes North Tulsa. Nobody knows it all, right? But I know that if I was picking a team to fix it with, I would pick a team like you. And I mean that in the, it sounds patronizing or something, and I don't mean it that way. There was a lot of talk tonight of, it's on us to fix it. Well, it's on all of us. It isn't us or you or what, it's everybody. We got to work on that together. And I believe that regardless of how this group up here votes, it might communicate to you that we don't have your back. I hope that's not true. I hope the council votes that 180 days is not that big a deal.
That's
in the grand
right.
scheme of it all. And I hope the council acknowledges that the appeal process that's put into this language is sufficient to allow for a desirable project to still get through the system and go into effect while prohibiting undesirable projects from happening. I believe that the specifics of the language about what types of stores are to be stopped with the moratorium is specific enough to weed out exactly what we don't want, but not weed out things that we do. I believe if there's a concern that it can yank the football out from in front of Charlie Brown too late in the game, that we can amend that to say prior to a building permit instead of prior to a certificate of occupancy, if that would relieve some heartburn. But 180 days, that's nothing. Both sides tonight, who said for and against, all agreed. It was unanimous. We don't need more of this. It was unanimous that we got work to do to figure out a solution. The moratorium, nobody thought it was a permanent fix. It was 180 days to figure it out. 180 days. So we got a task force started today. We got some things moving in the right direction. You have elevated the community conversation. You have made Tulsa more aware of food insecurity issues. We're in a much better spot to have this conversation now than we were a couple months ago, largely because of the work of Door City Council area and the people in this room. 180 days to send a heck of a message that we got your back, that you matter, and that we're going to spend the next 6 months all working together to figure out how to build a better North Tulsa. So, as you know, I will be voting yes. I'll make the motion when the time comes. And if it loses, still got your back. Thank you.
I'd like to hear from Vanessa again to see what she feels this 180 days is gonna accomplish, and what will happen after the 180 days are over.
The purpose for the moratorium is just to push the pause button for 180 days so that work can be done to solve the problem. That's the whole purpose of moratorium. You have to have a beginning and an ending. And in that short amount of time, which is like I said, 180 days, to work with legal, to work with planning, to put policies in place to address the issue being proliferation. That's it. And we have language in the ordinance that any other businesses that don't fall into the problem stores that we've identified, that development will not stop. It will not cease. It will continue on because the language is specific enough, and that an appeals process is put in place so that it will not stop the developments that we do want in the community. And it's just that simple.
The next question I'd like to ask Ms. Gibbs, if she'll come up.
Absolutely.
I remember the time, and I had shopped there when I was over at a friend's house. There was a grocery store in
There was a grocery store.
Steps have you taken that maybe will help bring a grocery store back? Because that area is in the center of, to me, one of the prime food deserts. And I think and I might be wrong with the location of Save-A-Lot, and I personally shop at Save-A-Lot, they have T-bones $4.99. But, and I'm going to get some tomorrow, but, I think it'll be far enough away where if there was a store back in your shopping center, that would help so much to look for, as you want, fresh fruit and vegetables. What would it take? I've heard businessmen come up and speak, and in Teddy come up and speak and say, we want to get a group together to put in a co-op or a grocery store. Have you been in any of those conversations?
I have not been in any conversation with Teddy. No, I have not, and thank you, Councilman Key, for asking. And we're really excited. We did talk about having courting Save-A-Lot and a couple of the grocery stores, but there were decisions for Save-A-Lot to build a brand new building. I would like to say that in the middle of saying we'll build a brand new facility, we could have had a facility in our building and up and running by the time that they made those decisions, because the only thing they would have to do was bring in the products into our facility, because it is a building that's just sitting there waiting for people to come and service the community. And that's the biggest thing, of waiting to come to service community. And we're not asking for a lot. And just like you said, my husband's grandparents owned the grocery store there, operated the grocery store there. They owned a laundromat and several of the things. And the biggest thing was servicing the community. And one thing I would say that was really dear to my heart is when we were fixing the building back up, having the community come and tell us that if it had not been for Mr. and Mrs. Gibbs, that they would not have had dinner, or then people probably can vouch. Can anybody vouch for today? I just want to say thank you to the grandparents, because a lot of families would not have been able to eat had it not have been for Mr. and Mrs. Gibbs taking what they call tickets, because a lot of families couldn't even buy groceries at the time, and they would take tickets. And when he passed away, they found a box full of tickets where he never collected on, because he was all about the community and servicing the community. And that's what we want to be about, servicing the community. And we're open to discussions. We're open to just letting them come. I'm not even talking about maybe a bad business decision or whatever, as far as rent is concerned, but whatever can be the base rent. I mean, just come and service this community. This is what we did. This is why we spent over $307,000 to renovate a building, our own personal money. Someone said to me, said to someone about the reason why they couldn't speak on certain things because they didn't have any skin in the game. And I actually tapped them on the shoulder after that comment, back in the back, and said, I have skin in the game. My family has skin. We spent over $300,000 to try to renovate a building to get businesses to come, and they haven't came. Another thing regarding our family is that my husband's grandmother was a 1921 race riot survivor who lived to tell her story regarding about why they started their businesses. They started their businesses because she came out of the race riot and she wanted to build back up North Tulsa. And so she took her retirement money, started their business, and that's what they did. And that's why they had 3 or 4 shopping centers in North Tulsa and built up that community. And that's why their heart was that community, because we are a lineage. My son is a lineage. He goes to the University of Tulsa school. And so our lineage is to grow him up to be an entrepreneur and do what's right for the community. So yes, I'm open. My building is available. We are here for the community, and that's our heart's desire. So thank you for
My heart's desire. I don't have the money to open a grocery store either, but my dad was an entrepreneur and had one in West Tulsa. But those neighborhood grocery stores, if you go to certain cities now, they're coming back, and they're so important. And I hope there's a way through our economic development department to work with the community, with Councilor Harper, Hall Harper, to bring those, and maybe with this task force that we're starting for Food Desert.
I really hope so. I think someone may have said the last meeting, they said, well, why don't the community get their own grocery store? I really have a problem with that.
There is a cost.
I have a problem with that because my whole thing is in Broken Arrow, South Tulsa, Owasso, no one's telling those individuals in those communities, you work to get your own stuff. You know, you work, and I got it. We want to work hard to get those things, to have our own grocery store, but no one's pointing the finger and telling them those things. And so I really have a hard time saying, why does North Tulsa have to make that decision to say, you do a co-op, you do these things, or why can't it be tax dollars that's given to different businesses if they come to North Tulsa? You tell them, you give them 5 years, 10 years, whether you give them the tax rebate and say you don't have to pay taxes if you do these and you operate in this community. You tell them, you speak to a business right, and they'll go where they want to go. They'll do what they want to do. That's what we're doing in downtown Tulsa. You give them the right incentive and they'll do it. Thank you.
I'm sorry.